skilled trades rep on each negotiating committee. Apprenticeship programs were to be introduced in all major operations. March 10, 1954, the first UAW skilled trades card was issued, which we now see as our CAW Journey Person card. In 1956, after 152 days on the picket line, Canadian GM workers reached an agreement that included the first skilled trades program in the big three Canadian facilities. Apprentices now had full union protection, and the apprentice program was written into the contract. In July 1954, a pamphlet was published by the Canadian Region 7 Education Department regarding skilled trades services and explaining the benefits of skilled trades programs within the UAW versus separate craft unions. At the 1957 Constitutional Convention, Resolution number 44 was adopted. Separate ratification rights for skilled trades. The convention adopted the principle: we must convert the special interests of our members into sources of strength, or under the pressure of these changes, they will inevitably become sources of weakness. So while the formal adoption of separate ratification rights was only written into the UAW Constitution in 1957, it was a reflection of the alliance between skilled trades and production workers that was fundamental to the successful unionization of the auto industry. The skilled trades councils were becoming increasingly powerful, and they became a cause for concern for the International Executive. These independent groups, with independent voices and opinions, needed to be reined in, and the direction of the union more centralized. Under the direction of Walter Reuther, the International Executive Board of the UAW dissolved the Skilled Trades Councils in February of 1958. In their place, they created a Skilled Trades Advisory Committee. And here, the International Executive Board approves the new structure for skilled trades. The National Skilled Trades Advisory Committee, working under the general supervision of the National Skilled Trades Department and in cooperation with the International Executive Board Skilled Trades Committee, will assist the International Executive Board in developing policies and programs essential to the advancement of the welfare and best interests of all skilled trades workers in the UAW, taking into consideration any differences that may exist between different sections of our union. Your international officers and executive board are convinced that this new skilled trade structure will be more responsive to the needs of skilled workers and be more effective in dealing with their problems. So they abolished the councils, and our councils that we currently have in Canada, we send delegates from every participating local. They come in, bring their concerns, voice their opinions. Through the executive board, decisions are made forward on to the national grid. That process, in 1958, was eliminated. What we had was a committee from a few small select places. I think it numbered 9 or 10 members, which the Canadian region sent one member to. They would advise the national executive. The Canadians, with the support of the Canadian director, George Burke, urged the International Executive Board to allow the Canadian Skilled Trades Council to remain intact. The decision of the International Executive Board is contained in a letter from George Burke dated December 21st, 1960, which states in part, I made a motion on the International Executive Board that our delegate to the advisory committee be changed from a fraternal delegate to a regular delegate with all rights, including voting rights. This motion was carried unanimously by the board. Further on, he states, I therefore asked President Reuther what plans the International Executive Board had in regard to the setup in Canada. reply on the record is that the International Union does not intend to disturb the existing skilled trades organization in Canada unless at some time in the future it is decided in cooperation with the Canadian workers that a more effective structure will be advised of. This explanation is accepted by the International Executive Board, and I do not believe we need to worry about the future. So with George Burt's support, he went to the International Executive Board and said, we want to leave the Canadian region alone. They have their own system. This is how it should stay. And they agreed with him, and we became a delegate from the Canadian Region Council to their advisory council. So our Skilled Trades Council in Canada remained intact. In August of 1961, Dominic De Angelis was appointed as the first Canadian to hold the office of the International Skilled Trades Rep for the Canadian region of the UAW. Dominic was the Skilled Trades Rep and Plant Chair at Massey Ferguson's Market Street plant. In the 20 years Dominic held this office, he was instrumental in establishing the Skilled Trades program in many Canadian plants. In an effort to promote a separate skilled trades identity, Eric John led the skilled trades in separate march during the 1962 Labor Day Parade in Windsor. Not only did this work well in the respect of separate identity, but led to 3 awards for Best Marching Unit, Best Dressed Unit, and Best Labor Slogan. So the council was quite active in the communities as well. In 1964, Eric John was suspended from holding an elected or appointed position within his local union. This suspension was due to a leaflet circulated which contained a resolution from the Canadian Regional Skilled Trades Council seeking an end to wage and work conditions disparity between American and Canadian skilled trades workers, and insisting on separate skilled trades locals to meet the needs of the minority. The leaflet contained the following: we have made every conceivable effort to solve our problems within the present skilled trades structure of the UAW, but our efforts have been in vain. The council was at odds with the International Union, newly organizing tooling shops in Windsor are becoming units within Local 195. The council took the position that these units should be standalone skilled trades locals. They felt that way because the locals were completely, or the units were completely made up of skilled trades workers and these job shops. So they would then become units of the Local 195. The council felt that they should be separate standalone skilled trades units. But forming skilled trades locals in the jobbing shops was ruled not in conformity with the policy of the International Union as outlined in this letter to George Burke from Ruth a year prior in 1963. It wasn't long before Eric received a letter from Walter Ruther stating that his suspension was an oversight, and included an article explaining the reversal in the Local 200 newsletter. The Canadian Skilled Trades Council at this time was active within the political arena as well, where trades were affected. During this period also, having met with the Minister of Labour, as well as the Minister of Education, in regards to the Trades Qualification and Apprenticeship Act, which was enacted in Ontario in 1964. In 1966, there was a debate at the Constitutional Convention to answer the question, what happens when one group rejects an agreement and the other group accepts? Then Vice President Leonard Woodcock told the delegates, an industrial union is not an organization simply to serve the needs of the majority. It is one that utilizes the strength of all to solve the problems of anybody, as well as solving the problems of all. The UAW was reestablished by the skilled trade strike of 1939. Never forget that. Separate ratifications adopted in 1957